Is God truly existent? Does God really exist in the world? If we cannot directly know God, can we use a logical approach to reason out the existence of God? The earliest attempt at this was by Anselm. He used a classic three-step argument to prove the existence of God. The major premise is a perfect being, existing not only in thought, but also in reality. The minor premise is that God is a perfect being. It is evident that this argument is flawed. It is a circular argument based on a false premise, because the true value of God cannot be determined. Yet Anselm believed that God is an absolutely necessary being. Not only Anselm of the same era encountered this issue, but also later St. Thomas Aquinas. Thomas Aquinas believed Anselm directly reasoned from the concept of God to deduce the existence of God. This is an a priori argument. Such proof, it only works on devout believers. But for those who do not believe in God, it is impossible to convince them, because this method of proof treats the conclusion to be proven as a premise. So Aquinas began to conceive his own cosmological proof. To prove the existence of God, he listed the following 5 methods of proof. Since everything in the world is moved by other objects, therefore, behind all things, there must exist a necessary ultimate being. It itself cannot be moved, but it can move everything. Just like in this world, there exists a prime mover. And Thomas Aquinas claimed that this unmoved mover is indeed God. Secondly, since everything in the world has its fundamental cause, then tracing back, there must be a first cause, which is its own cause, and also the cause of the existence of everything. This so-called first cause, in his view, it is also God. Since in the world, all individual existences are contingent, possible, necessary existence as their ultimate foundation, and this necessary, absolute existence is also God in the view of Thomas Aquinas. Since all things in the world have varying degrees of perfection, this imperfect perfection must have a most perfect existence as a standard of judgment. And this supreme existence is also God in his view. All life activities in the world point towards a purpose, which is to achieve the best results in utility. Therefore, there must be a most wise existence to set the purpose for all these life activities. And it makes the whole world rational. He believes that this most wise existence is God. The above is the 5 ways of St. Thomas. In fact, friends who have read Aristotle's works will find Thomas Aquinas here quotes Aristotle on motion and change, causes and effects, potentiality and actuality, the network of nature and purpose. He starts from a limited, relative entity, then ascends to infinite, absolute existence, which is what we call God. However, in Thomas Aquinas' proof, there are also 2 implicit a priori principles. First, infinite regress is impossible. Second, the logical endpoint of regress must be the Christian God. And these 2 principles themselves are unprovable. Thus, St. Thomas's 5 ways of proof are actually invalid arguments, because fundamentally they are based on the premise of faith. Of course, we must admit, compared to Anselm's ontological proof, Thomas Aquinas' cosmological proof appears more persuasive. In form, it is also more logical, because his proof is based on, not built on abstract concepts, but on undeniable empirical facts. We focus on the purpose of these proofs, not to find out whether God's existence can ultimately be proven logically, but to pay attention to Thomas Aquinas' way of presenting these proofs. Although the proofs themselves are invalid, it doesn't mean the process of proving is meaningless, because Thomas Aquinas always insists on a rational perspective, seeking the possibility of proving the legitimacy of faith. This is a new chapter in the development of Christian philosophy, seeking reconciliation between reason and faith, unlike in previous Christian philosophy, such as that of Augustine, which denigrated rationality. Later, this approach of using reason to argue for faith integrated philosophy and theology. In the Thomistic tradition, many scholastic philosophers of the Dominican order were highly regarded. On the other hand, the scholastic philosophers of the Franciscan order insisted on keeping theology and philosophy separate. Among them, Roger Bacon was the most representative. Next time, let's explore Roger Bacon's critique of Thomism. Stay tuned for a layman's guide to philosophy. See you next time, friends.